Hi everyone, so I'd like to do a video to help out with the different types of ink that Close to My Heart carries. And this actually, the thought came about because my mom yesterday, I was speaking with her and she was asking some questions about what type of ink to color with so that your markers wouldn't bleed into your image. So I thought, you know what, let me just do a quick video and kind of walk through some of the different inks. I have some inspiration cards that I will also show and let you know what inks were used when I did that. So if you look in our core catalog, you'll see we have, this is our current core catalog that actually will be ending at the end of August. So we have all of our colors with coordinating cardstock. We have our exclusive inks, re-inkers, and some shades do come in a pigment ink. So you might say to yourself, well, what's the difference between exclusive inks or pigment ink? So I have a sample here of each one just to show you the different stamp pads. I also pulled out Versamark, which is more of a watermark. There's no color to this stamp pad. Okay, but this is for embossing. So I'll show you what that does. And then also this is a re-inker. So what I have here is the exclusive ink. This is our exclusive black ink pad, and our ink pads are awesome because they're magnetic. So they're great. They open like this. Awesome for working. And then this is our exclusive pigment-based ink. Then we have our exclusive inks that are water-based dye ink. Then we also have our intense black permanent ink. So which one do you use for products you're working on? So pigment-based inks are used for embossing. So if you're going to heat set, use embossing powder, glitter powder, you would use a pigment-based ink or a watermark-based ink, which would be your Versamark. So this comes in different colors. So if I wanted to stamp an image and then use clear embossing powder and heat set it, which I'll show you, I have an example, I would use a colored, whatever color I want to use, pigment-based ink. But if I just wanted to use a colored embossing powder, I would use a clear ink, which would be my Versamark ink, so that my heat set image would be the color of the embossing powder. And I also have a card to show you. Okay, so our exclusive inks, just regular stamping, quick dry stamping, you would use our exclusive inks, the water-based. So here would be our exclusive inks. You would just use any of these colors just for quick dry stamping. And the exclusive inks that say pigment, those would be your more juicier ink pad that you're going to use to heat emboss. Okay, and then the intense black ink, which I'll show you in the catalog, you would find the intense black ink here. So the intense black right here is what you would use for fast drying and to color. With our tri-blend markers, it works perfect. So if you stamp your image in the intense black and then color with a tri-blend marker, there'll be no bleeding. And it's beautiful. And I have some examples to show you also. And then you can also find the Versamark ink in the catalog, and that would be found on the embossing page. So there's the Versamark. Okay. And then also a re-inker is used to either re-ink your stamp pad, or you can use a spritzer. And what you do with this is, you would put a little bit of water, a drop of your re-inker, shake it up, and now this could be used if you wanted to spritz a background to give you that splatter look on a card or a scrapbook page. So that's just another way you can use a re-inker is within a spritzer. Okay, so let me show you some examples and some inspiration and kind of what I use. So here I have the fabulous flamingo. I had made this card. So here on the flamingo, I stamped him or her with the intense black stamp pad, and then I colored it in with the tri-blend markers, and as you can see, nothing had smeared, and there's some dimension in the colors of the tri-blend. So now here for the sentiment, "You are fabulous," that was just stamped with a regular black ink, just our regular black exclusive ink right here. That's what I would stamp that. Now if you stamp this with the intense black, no big deal, it's fine, still works. It's just the intense black is if you're going to color, you want to make sure your image, your outline of your image is stamped in that. So, and here's the fabulous flamingo, super cute, stamp and thin cut. Next I made this shaker card with the Perk Up stamp and thin cut. Okay, so here again I just use regular just our regular ink pad. So this is just our water-based dye ink. This was used to create this sentiment, to create the lid here, to outline the cup, and then I don't know if you can tell in the video, but I just added a little shimmer, one of the shimmer brushes on top. So all I used to create this card was just regular inks, just the water-based dye ink. Okay, obviously a different color. Okay, so here, this is for my beautiful friend. This was our stamp of the month for July. So what I did here was I stamped this image with the intense black, and then I colored all the flowers in with the tri-blend markers. And as you can see, nothing bled. It was just a beautiful image. There's some dimension in the flowers. Everything works out great when you pair the intense black ink for your image with the tri-blend markers to color. And then the same on her dress. I colored her in with a tri-blend marker and I added some shimmer brush on top. The sentiment here, again, could just be stamped with regular, just a black regular water-based dye ink because it's quick drying, or it could also have used the exclusive intense black ink. So again, doesn't matter if you're using your intense black just to stamp your sentiments, but if you're going to color, you want to make sure this is the one you choose. Okay. Here's another one just to show you some coloring. This card I made with the Unicorn Dream stamp and thin cut. This is really great set for little girls to make cards for little girls. So I stamped the unicorn in the intense black, used my tri-blend markers, and stamped my sentiment just with our regular ink, or again can use the intense black. And no bleeding at all. Everything worked out great. And on the unicorn, I just colored the body with some clear shimmer. Okay, and now I'll show you, oh, one more. So the embossing. So here is one of my faves, the No Matter stamp and thin cut, which it's back available. This did sell out instantly, but they are back in stock. So what I did here was for my little gnome, I stamped him in the intense black, colored him with my tri-blend markers. But now this is where I used Versamark. So for the Merry Christmas sentiment, I stamped that in Versamark, which when I stamp it, it's clear. There's no color to it, and I'm on black cardstock, obviously, so I'm not going to see anything but a watermark. And then what I did is I sprinkled my gold embossing powder over it and then heat set. So here's an example of using Versamark to heat set. Okay, so Versamark is clear because I used a colored embossing powder. Okay, and then I will show you on a scrapbook layout. So this is the this was the brushed paper pack that I created a scrapbook layout that I love, and I believe it's still available. And honestly, if you don't have it, I would highly suggest getting this paper pack with sticker set. But what I did here, so this is your own kind of wonderful stamp set. So I stamped the butterflies, and this one is right here. So these were stamped with intense black. I colored them with the tri-blend markers, and then I fussy cut them out because this is just a stamp set. This does not have a coordinating die. So that's what I did with these. And then I put some shimmer, used the clear shimmer brush on top. And they're also popped up with dimension, if you could see that. So super cute, but this is using it on a layout. So again, stamped with the intense black, colored in with my tri-blend, and then I fussy cut them out. Okay. And then last is another stamp set, Stampin' Thin Cut that I use. This is called Beach Treasures. I really love this because it's nice sized seashells, and I do lots of beach layouts. I live in Florida on the beach, so lots of my pictures are beach inspired. So I'm going to be using this a lot just to add a little extra on some layouts, and I'll show you what I did on this one. And this also comes with each stamp set, comes with a coordinating die, okay, Beach Treasures. So I used the clamshell right here, and what I did on this layout, if you can see, is I stamped this in pigment. I used espresso pigment ink. I put clear embossing powder on top, and then I heat set it. So that's the difference of using a pigment-based ink or the Versamark, because I wanted the outline of the shell. I don't have this color embossing powder, so I used espresso pigment ink to stamp my image. It was super wet and juicy. I took my clear embossing powder, sprinkled it on top, and then I heat set it. So then it has a little bit of a raised look to it. And then all I did was use the gold shimmer brush and colored it all in, and it's done. And also on here, I pop this up. I love to use dimension and pop up. So that's the difference of the ink. So one last time, again, intense black, stamp your images if you're gonna color them. Versamark, if you're going to use a dark cardstock and use like a foil embossing powder or gold, like I did on the gnome. Here he is. So I stamped Merry Christmas using gold embossing powder. So I needed my stamped image to be clear, like a watermark. So that's where you would use Versamark for heat embossing. Just our regular water-based dye inks. This is just for quick dry stamping, creating cards, scrapbook layouts if you're stamping on, just basic regular stamping. This is your regular stamp pads. And then your pigment-based stamp pads are for creating things that you want to clear emboss, but you want the color of your stamp pad to show on your image, like I showed you here on this clamshell. And then your re-inker is used to re-ink your stamp pad, or have a spritzer, put a little bit of water in here. I'd probably fill this up halfway with water, and depending on the color and the intensity that you're going for, 1 drop will do the trick, 2 drops at most. Shake this up and then just spritz it on the back of your card, your background paper, your scrapbook layout, and that will give you a splatter look to your creation. Okay, so I hope this helped. If anyone has any questions, you can always reach out to me, comment below, private message me, and maybe I'll come back and do a video and I will do some of these techniques that I showed. Actually, but I do have videos putting most of these cards together, just not showing the embossing technique. There is so many videos out on the web, on YouTube, that you can just put heat embossing and you'll find so many videos out there. But if somebody would like to see one of these techniques, just give me a private message and I would be glad to create a video. Thanks.